Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of Your Story Hour. Aunt Carol, what story do you have for us today?
Uncle Dan, today's story takes us back to the early days of discovery in what became the United States. It's about a Native American who was very badly treated by Europeans, but who befriended the colonists and saved many lives.
Ah, that would be Squanto, right?
Yes, that's what the English called him. His Native American name was Tisquantum. Very little is known of his life, and sources differ widely on many points. I've tried to present a reasonable version of the story.
Great. I can't wait to hear it.
The British people of that time spoke the English of the King James Bible, so I've tried to give the flavor of that language while keeping it understandable for modern listeners. The Native Americans will speak a more modern English in place of their own language, and the Spanish will speak English with a Spanish touch.
That sounds like fun. What do you call it?
I simply call it The Story of Squanto. Tisquantum was born probably about 1590. He was a member of the Patuxet band of the Wampanoag tribe. Patuxet meant the people of the falls because of a waterfall near Tisquantum's village. The Wampanoags and their language were also known as Massachusetts. During the winter, the whole Patuxet village lived together in a longhouse in the forest. In spring and summer, they lived near the ocean. They built individual family weetus of poles covered with grass mats and bark. The men hunted, and the women planted gardens with the children's help.
There, Tisquantum. We finished planting the Three Sisters.
Why do we call them the Three Sisters, Mother?
Because they work together like a family. The corn grows tall, and the bean vines run up the corn stalks to get the sun. The squash shades the ground to hold in the moisture and keep the weeds down.
Good. I don't like pulling weeds.
But you must still keep the birds from the corn seeds and the new plants. And you must keep the raccoons from the green corn and the woodchucks from the squashes.
That's a lot of work.
Yes, it is. But you and your friends can play around the gardens. The noise will keep most of the animals away, and the little dogs will help you too. See? Tail in the air is ready to help.
And at harvest, we'll have a big feast. I can just taste the succotash and the roasted squash. Yum!
Here come some of your friends now. It's good that all of our gardens are close together.
Hello, Nutta. Hello, Tisquantum.
Good morning, Nutta. Good morning, Tisquantum. Hi, Mingan. Hi, Alawa.
Hello, children. I see you have brought your dogs too. Tail in the air will have fun playing with them. I see you are all ready to go, so I will return to the wetu and start cooking stew in my new iron pot.
You're a good runner, Mingan. It's hard to keep up with you, and I can never beat you. What shall we play now?
Let's play traitor, Tisquantum. We'll pretend we have a big stack of furs, and the White Eyes have come in their huge canoe with white wings. Alawa, you can make a pile of leaves and pretend it's dried fish.
I'll pile up these big sassafras leaves.
That's a good idea. Tisquantum, you can...
I wish I could see a traitor for real. Why would you want to do that, Tisquantum? I heard they looked like bears, with hair all over their faces.
Oh, Tisquantum likes new things, new places, new people, no matter what they look like.
Yes, I do. I think people and places are interesting. I would like to see the White Eyes traders and the village they come from. After all, even if they do look strange, they bring us useful things, like iron knives and my mother's new iron pot. And beautiful glass beads.
But the trader's home is a long way away, far across the big sea water.
Still, I would like to know what it's like.
You might get your chance one day.
I hope so. Of course you will. You really like people. I bet you travel from many moons to meet new people. All right, Tail in the Air. You want to run some more, so let's go chase those crows out of the garden.
Squanto did like to explore. In 1605, when he was about 20 years old, he traveled far north of his village to what is now Maine. A personable young man, he quickly made friends with 4 Penobscot tribesmen about his own age. One day they went hunting to feed the village.
Astiku, did you see the chief called Champlain when he came through last year?
No, but Basha here did. The rest of us were away at the time.
That's right. Champlain visited with my father, Basha Bayez, because father is our chief.
We couldn't understand each other's language, though.
What a shame, Orono. I think it would be wonderful to learn the language of the White Eyes.
The ones who have come have different languages, I think, just as we do.
That is correct, Lolar, but they don't know sign language like we do, so they cannot talk together very...
Shh! Look, in the clearing.
Dear, I see them. Enough for each of us to get one.
With their attention focused on the deer, the young men didn't realize that someone was stalking them. Suddenly, they were startled by musket fire very close.
Thundersticks!
Stand where ye are, ye heathen savages! Verily, the next shot won't be in the air, but in someone's hide!
The leader is gesturing to us to go over there. I guess we'd better do what he wants.
Tisquantum had dreamed of meeting traders, but this was definitely not the friendly meeting he had hoped for. He and his 4 friends were marched to the ship and shut away in the hold. As the ship sailed for England, Captain Weymouth learned the captive men's names and changed Tisquantum's name to Squanto. Week after week, the ship sailed eastward while the prisoners in the hold fought fear and seasickness. At last, the ship docked in Southampton, England, and the prisoners were taken to London. Here they met Sir Fernando Gorges, the merchant who had financed Captain Weymouth's voyage. Sir Gorges was interested in colonization, and he wanted to learn all he could about the New World.
Well done, Captain Weymouth. Verily, I am pleased with the savages thou hast brought me. I will keep this Squanto and 2 of the Penobscots. The other 2 thou canst place with one of my associates. They can all learn English, and we can learn more about their homeland.
The next year, Sir Gorges sponsored a colony at the mouth of the Kennebec River in what is now Maine. He decided to send the Penobscots back home.
Sir Gorges, please, may I return home with my friends?
Nay, Squanto, thou art my property, and I need thee here. Bide patiently. One day thou wilt return to thine own shore.
So Squanto waited and continued to study English. One day in 1611, Sir Gorges came home excited and called for his wife.
Abigail! Abigail! Great news!
What is it, my dear? Thou art so excited.
Excited? Yea, verily. It is finished, my dear. It is published.
At last, after so many years.
Squanto, come hither.
Yes, Sir Gorges.
Squanto, thou must come with us to the church this evening. Reverend Price is going to read from the New Bible.
New Bible, sir?
The year before thou camest to us, our good King James commissioned nigh unto 50 biblical scholars to prepare a new English version of the Scriptures.
Was there something wrong with the other versions?
Some were hard for modern Englishmen to understand.
And the Geneva Bible has too many notes in the margin, teaching the theology of the translators. People have not been free to let the Bible explain itself.
So, this version of King James...
His Majesty declared that there should be no marginal notes, except for cross-references of texts.
And the definition of some unfamiliar words.
I see. This, then, is a great thing for the English.
It is. And best of all, we now have a copy of this Bible in our very own church.
His Majesty intends that in time, the new Bible shall be available to all his subjects. But for now, it's being placed in churches throughout the kingdom.
So come with us, Squanto, and hear it read.
I must do what you say, sir.
Nay, Squanto, the Bible cannot be forced on anyone. Thou art invited.
Then I will come. Thank you, Mistress Gorges.
Very good. Thou wilt ride with us in our carriage.
But I say unto you, love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you. And pray for them which despitefully use you.
It seems that Kiaton, the great creator spirit, is speaking directly to me. He says I must love mine enemies. The English have been mine enemies, But from now on, I will love them.
In 1614, Sir Fernando Gorges finally gave Squanto the news the captive had been waiting for.
Squanto, I would like thee to meet my good friend, Captain John Smith.
I have heard of Captain Smith and the colony of Jamestown. It is a pleasure to meet you, Captain.
And to meet thee, Squanto. I wish to explore trade possibilities in New England. I understand thou knowest Indian languages.
Yes, I know the languages of several tribes.
Thou art the perfect person to interpret for me as I set up trade agreements. After that, thou wilt be free to go back to thy home.
Squanto sailed eagerly back to New England. For a few months, he served as guide and translator for Captain Smith, whom he liked. When Captain Smith decided to explore elsewhere, he arranged for Captain Thomas Hunt to deliver Squanto back to Patuxet. However, Captain Hunt had other ideas, and when his ship anchored near Patuxet, Squanto happily surveyed the shore where his people had come to meet them in friendship.
Captain Hunt, these are my people. Look at all the men coming down to the shore unarmed. That means they are ready to trade. This is good news.
Aye, it's good news for my purpose.
Suddenly, Captain Hunt gave the signal and his men swarmed ashore, weapons drawn on the helpless, unarmed Patuxet people.
Captain, stop them! Your sailors are beating my people!
The Patuxet men were brutally attacked, then roughly rounded up and hauled to the waiting ship, where Captain Hunt continued his abuse.
Stay down there on deck, ye savages, or I'll whip ye senseless with this cat-o'-nine-tails!
Needless to say, Squanto was devastated. He'd been so close to home, but now not only was his dream of returning to his people ruined, but here he was once more aboard a ship and headed to Europe as a prisoner, along with about 20 other captives. After several weeks, the ship arrived in the harbor of Malaga, Spain. The prisoners were unloaded and marched to the marketplace.
Make way there.
Squanto and the others were then hauled to the auctioning block.
Come see the savages from the New World! How many doubloons am I bid for these willing obedience workers?
He lies! We are free men who were captured by treachery!
Silence, ye heathen savage, or I'll club thee to the ground. Verily, I'll beat thee senseless.
The captain had sent messengers ahead to advertise the sale of these slaves from the New World, and several buyers were ready with bags of gold. But a group of monks, standing off to the side, did not believe in slavery.
Brother Carlitos, I did not expect the captain to have so many captives.
Nor did I, Brother Bartolome. And the bids are high. Brother Umberto, how much money we have?
Not nearly enough, brothers. At these prices, I fear we have only enough to buy uno. Just one.
See, it is as I feared. I say, we buy that hombre, the man who speaks English. We know enough of that language to talk with him.
I agree, Brother Bartolome. Brother Umberto?
See, that one.
You see, Senor Squanto, we no believe in slavery. We hope to save all of the captain's prisoners, but we had only enough gold to rescue thee.
I thank you with all my heart, but what should I do now?
What Brother Bartolome is saying is that thou may come live with us in our monastery.
See, for a little while, poco tiempo.
We know muchos, many capitans of the sea. We will find a ship for thee and help thee sail away.
You all are so kind.
Did not our Lord tell us to be kind to one another?
He said, if we give even the cup of cold water in his name, we are his.
And we have much agua fria, cold water, in the well at our monastery.
Sadly, Squanto never saw his fellow Patuxets again. He lived with the monks for a few years until they were able to arrange his passage on a ship going to England. When he arrived in London sometime in 1617, he stood on the dock wondering what to do next. Suddenly, he heard a familiar voice.
Squanto! Is it really thee?
John Slaney, yes, my friend, I am back.
Did I just see thee disembark from that Spanish galleon? I thought thee had gone back to thy home in New England.
I did go back. That is, I got very close, but Captain Hunt...
He sold thee in Spain? Of all the vile deeds.
But the Spanish brothers were very kind to me.
God bless them.
Indeed. But now I want to go home to Patuxent and my people.
I tell thee what, come stay in my house. Thou mayest work for me to earn thy keep until I find a ship going to New England. Art thou willing?
Thank you, John, yes.
So Squanto went to live with John Slaney. He helped out around the house and in the stables while he waited for his chance. After about 2 years, his friend had good news for him.
Squanto, come meet my friend, Captain Thomas Dermer. He is sailing to the New World soon.
May I go with thee, Captain Dermer?
Yea, Squanto, thou mayest come with me. But before I take thee to thy home, I will need thy assistance in arranging trade with different tribes.
I will be happy to aid you, Captain, if you will swear to return me to my home afterwards.
I solemnly swear that thou wilt be home within the year.
Sometime in 1619, Squanto sailed westward once more. Although his only dream was to go home to Patuxent, he faithfully worked with Captain Dermer, translating and helping to establish trade agreements with various tribes. Finally, his job was done.
I may go home now, Captain Dermer?
Yea, Squanto, though I will miss thee sorely. Tomorrow we should be near enough to thy home to set thee ashore.
There, Captain. We must pull the boat up by that rock. I can walk to my village from there.
Ye heard him, men. Pull the boat to shore. This is the end of thy journeying, Squanto. Thou hast been a good companion and a valuable help.
Thank you, Captain. Finally, I am back in the land of the Patuxent. Soon I will walk among my people again. Farewell.
Fare thee well, Squanto, and may the good Lord go with thee.
Just past these trees, and I will see the village. But what is this? Why is the path overgrown with grass? And why is it so quiet? I should hear dogs barking, children laughing, women should be grinding corn, and men should be talking about the hunt. The village is empty? The wet tools are falling apart, and the fires are cold. What has happened here? Where is everyone gone?
To find out what had happened, Squanto hurried to the nearby village of the Pokanoquets, another branch of the Wampanoags. There he met with the young chief Massasoit.
I'm sorry to tell you that a sickness of the white eyes struck the village of Patuxent last winter. Not a single person survived.
No, it cannot be. All these years, my one thought has been to return home to my people, my family.
But it is true, 'tis Quantum. You are now the last Patuxent.
Saddened, Squanto made his home in Massasoit's village. For months he grieved the loss of all those he had known and loved. The one bright note was the friendship he formed with Samoset, a visiting young Abenaki chief from present-day Maine. One day, in the spring of 1621, Samoset had exciting news for Squanto.
'Tis Quantum. You must come with me. I have found a group of white eyes living in your old village.
They are living in the Wetus my people left?
No, they are building houses in the English style. They are planting gardens, too. At least, they are trying to. Let us go talk with them.
All right. I can help them.
When Squanto and Samoset reached the village, they saw a man coming toward them carrying a thunderstick, which Squanto now knew was called a musket. The man was short and had red hair. Samoset had already met this man, whose name was Miles Standish.
This Miles Standish is the captain of their warriors. He has a fiery temper that matches his fiery red hair. I call him Little Pot That Soon Boils Over.
Don't make me laugh in front of the stranger. Now I will always think of him as a boiling pot.
Good morrow, Somerset. Who is this thou hast brought with thee?
This is my good friend, 'tis Squanto.
Captain Standish, the English call me Squanto. I see your people have built a village in the very place where my people once lived. I have come to offer you whatever help I can.
How is this? Another Indian who speaks English? Didst thou also learn the language from English fishermen like thy friend Somerset?
No, Captain Standish. I learned it the hard way.
And what way was that? Surely thou hast a story to tell?
Yes, that I do. It started many years ago, when I was young and eager to...
Squanto told his whole story to Miles Standish, who was sympathetic. Soon after this, Squanto and Samoset helped Chief Massasoit make a treaty of peace and mutual protection with the settlers led by Standish. Squanto became friends with all the leaders of the newcomers, known as Pilgrims. He also helped the settlers with a particular problem.
Captain Standish, I have been watching the people working in their gardens.
Verily, they are making a mess of it, I know. Thou must understand, Squanto, I am a military man, but most of us are merchants, cloth workers, and craftsmen. We are not farmers.
I learned as a child how to plant a garden. I could help.
Wouldst thou? That would be a blessing indeed.
That's it. Remember, dig a nice big hole.
Like this, Mr. Squanto?
That's perfect. Very nice, Wrestling.
Thank you, Mr. Squanto. I like planting with you.
I'm glad to hear it. All right, everyone. We're almost ready to plant. First, we must put a fish in each hole.
Here, Wrestling, thou canst take a fish from my basket. Ew, they stink.
That's because we caught them 2 days ago, and they've been sitting in the sun. They aren't good to eat anymore.
Yea, verily.
But they are very good to make the 3 sisters grow. Finally, children, bring the seeds to the holes. 3 of each kind: corn, beans, squash, and cover them firmly.
Is this the right amount, Mr. Squanto?
That's just perfect.
Why do you call them the 3 sisters, Mr. Squanto?
Because, Wrestling, they work together like a family. The corn grows, and then...
Squanto was happy to be in his own village again, even if it was Plymouth Plantations now instead of Patuxet. He liked to see people moving around the houses and gardens, and he loved to hear the laughter of the children. He built a wetu like the Patuxet people and lived in the village with his new English friends. As the months went by, Squanto taught the Pilgrims how to weave nets for catching fish, how and where to hunt, how to find wild edible berries and ground nuts, and he rejoiced with the Pilgrims at the bountiful harvest of 1621.
Squanto, Governor Bradford has declared a festival to celebrate our plentiful harvest.
Wonderful! I have missed the Green Corn Festival and Cranberry Festival of my people.
The governor would like to invite Chief Massasoit. Wouldst thou carry the message to the chief?
Yes, I would be happy to.
The chief arrived with 90 of his men, and although the extra guests were unexpected, they were welcomed, especially since they brought with them 5 deer, many wildfowl, and 3 bags of popcorn.
Ah, Squanto, God has truly blessed us. Look at all these happy faces. We have plenty of food to keep us through the winter. I thank God for his many blessings. And I especially thank him for thee. Without thy help, our crops would never have flourished. Squanto, thou hast truly saved our lives.
What an inspiring story, Aunt Carol. And am I correct in thinking that this harvest feast was the forerunner of our modern-day Thanksgiving?
Yes, Uncle Dan, that's true.
Well, I hope Squanto had a long and happy life with his new friends.
Unfortunately, he died the very next year from a disease brought to the New World by the colonists.
No, how sad. From what you've told us, Squanto was a very good man. Why, he returned good for evil, just as the Bible tells us to do.
Yes, and although there's no record that Squanto ever became a Christian, still, when he befriended his enemies, he certainly acted in a Christ-like manner.
That's a good example for us to follow.
Yes, you're right. Jesus is the best example for us to follow.
And speaking of following, I'm thinking that you might want to follow up with another exciting story right now.
Very good idea, Uncle Dan. There are plenty of stories in this album to choose from, and hundreds of other Your Story Hour stories that are available. So we invite you to select one and have fun listening.